The headlines all proclaim that Disney made more than $6 billion at the box office last year, and that's a good thing, right? Right? Well, it turns out, folks, that Disney also had expenses that were absolutely ridiculous. And when you combine that with making much of their money from Beijing this year, hey, Zootopia, we're looking at you. Well, it turns out Disney didn't make much at all. We'll explain how the numbers tumble out right now. It's a beautiful day. It's a lovely day, folks. It's a wonderful day every time you're with us. And let's get ready to dive in. We must tell you that Disney brought in a lot of money, but a lot of that money didn't actually make it to the Disney coffers. Coffers, we say. All right, folks, click the like button, drop a comment down below, and let's go. We'll explain exactly how things played out for the House of Mouse in cinemas for 2025. The Walt Disney Company is chasing that Chinese Beijing money. And what do we got, folks? Well, it's not funny. That Park Place has it. Zootopia 2 and Avatar may have all the headlines, but Lilo and Stitch likely made the most profit. That's right. Disney is getting all kinds of accolades for how well Zootopia 2 and Avatar are doing, but it's just this little blue guy making the money. Avatar Fire and Ash might be getting all the headlines along with Zootopia 2, but despite passing up Lilo and Stitch at the box office, it's the little furry blue alien that probably made Disney all their money this year. Disney's 2025 theatrical story in China has been defined by two very different wins. An animated four-quadrant phenom in Zootopia 2, and a still formidable but comparatively more conventional performance from Avatar Fire and Ash. Taken together, they underline a reality Hollywood sometimes glosses over. China can add enormous box office scale, but it does not scale very well in terms of profits. Now, what are we talking about here, folks? Well, it turns out that when you make money in China at their box office, and you're the Walt Disney Company, you're only getting back something like 18 to 20% of the revenues. So when you see hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe even approaching $1 billion for Zootopia coming out of Beijing, those Beijing bucks sometimes don't add up to much. Avatar Fire and Ash is also a clear success in China, but it's on a different scale than Zootopia. It opened strongly, reported around 57.6 million in its opening weekend, and within about 10 days was nearing 100 million in China. That's a very healthy result by contemporary imported film standards, even if it's not matching the extraordinary record-chasing pace of Zootopia 2, which again is just unbelievable. However, despite the fact that Zootopia is around $500 million and Fire and Ash is at $100 million, because Lilo and Stitch is largely a property that succeeded domestically, it turns out Lilo and Stitch is making a whole lot more money for Disney than the other two. So, panel, what say you? When Disney is making all their money abroad in Beijing, should our media sing about it, even if all that cash is largely staying over with the CCP? My answer to this is a bit nuanced. I'd like to hear your thoughts, and I'll tell you why I think actually this might surprisingly be okay for Disney.
I will say that it plays into Disney's biggest desires that they want to, whether or not they actually are the most profitable company in the world, which they are not, they want to sound like they are the most profitable company in the world. They're not actually interested in winning. They're interested in getting credit for winning. So they're cheaters when it comes to the truth. And they're full of baloney. I'm trying to say this in the most legally protected way possible.
I need you to say that the way culture would say it, please.
Allegedly? Or that they're full of bologna sausage? That
yes.
They're
always the bologna sausage. Yep. Wackadoodle jack wagons. Yep.
And Marxists.
That he would definitely say that. This is something where Disney would rather have $2 billion at the box office and take home $250 million than have own the theater where the movie is shown and take home 100% of the revenue in the United States. They are catering to Wall Street. They're no longer catering to the audience. It's all flash and no substance at this point, which is they've gone from the illusion of creating magic to the illusion of creating profit.
Yeah, and the thing is, when it comes to Avatar, for example, one, most of the money goes to James Cameron anyway. Disney is just the distributor. But then they also have to deal with the fact that China keeps, so let's say they make $100 million in China, and they'll make more than that. But if they make $100 million in China, even before it gets divided up with James Cameron, Disney's only bringing $20 million back. And then they get to divide that with James Cameron. So They're making nothing, but they're making headlines off of Avatar and what it's doing in China. Zootopia, similarly, okay, let's say it's made $500 million in China. And let's say that's where it stays just for easy math, okay? Let's play that out. At $500 million, if Disney brings back in 20%, we're at $100 million, right? Okay, that's fine, that's great, $100 million. But that actually still doesn't pay the bills because they need to be making the 55% they get domestically to justify these things. Because again, Zootopia, probably a $250 million production budget, probably $150 to $200 million in marketing. And they got to make back a lot of money. They got to make double that back to break even. So these big numbers out of China, they look impressive, but they're really not when you're considering just the capital flow. Now, here's where I think Disney is actually A-okay on this. And you guys tell me what you think about it. I think it's okay for Disney to not get a big box office return in China, although they should advocate for China to change their ways. They're not gonna. But I think that if Disney can create a merchandising ecosystem in China, Disney currently doesn't have anything that just really sells everywhere in China, right? Disney doesn't have that thing. And maybe Zootopia merch is something that they could, every kid in China has one. And if they can do that, if they can make money off that, then they can justify this. But if they can't, then making big bucks in China just doesn't matter much for investors. Guys, what say you?
I have a bigger question about any of this, and that is the fact that, as far as I can tell, there's only been 3 Disney movies that appear to have made money this year, and that's Stitch, Zootopia 2, and Avatar.
Yep, this is another big point.
How many movies has Disney made this year that have lost them so much money? I don't think the revenue from these 3 movies are even going to make them. I think Disney still loses money this year at the box office.
This is such an important point, because once you realize that James Cameron is taking all the Avatar money, you're exactly right, Ron. Disney has had flop after flop after flop after flop. Snow White, Thunderbolts, Captain America, Brave New World. We can keep going. Freakier Friday, Ella McKay. I mean, the list is insane. Disney has had flop after flop after flop. And Avatar, most of the money goes to James Cameron, doesn't change that, doesn't save that. And Zootopia, as happy as Disney must be for the box office headlines, the fact that it's making the money in China largely means largely they're not getting money back. So they probably didn't dig their way out. You've seen articles declaring that Disney's the only studio to cross the $6 billion worldwide box office. Is like, yay, Disney. Oh, wait a minute. You're not actually making a lot of money off that. In fact, you might have lost money despite bringing in, so-called brought in $6 billion. Because again, if $1 billion of that is in China, you didn't bring in that billion, really. You brought in a couple $100 million. Guys, is this a faulty plan then, or do you think that Disney can create some sort of merchandising ecosystem that makes it make sense? Maybe Shanghai Disney gets a ton of new guests out of all this.
I don't think that the relationship with China could continue in the way that it has, both because of the way that the economics are now working, the failing relationship between the two different countries, and even if they did set up manufacturing for product there, as somebody in the chat mentioned, China will just steal the designs. And if the relationship falls through, they'll continue to sell them there, just not licensing them. So I don't think this works. They keep chasing what they think is going to be Chinese money, but they assume that China is going to play fair, and the Chinese don't do that. So it's a fantasy.
It's prestige. They're chasing prestige is all they're doing. It's not a viable financial strategy to chase China, but the headline, the Variety will talk about how much money all their movies are making, and that's all that really matters at the end of the day is public perception, because that is what dictates the stock price.
My question at the end of this is, does Bob Iger have a very good social credit score in China? Is that what he was going for? I mean, that's the thing. Isn't that a thing that they actually use with people over there in China, that they have a social credit score?
Yeah, and apparently this movie was within the bounds of what you should and should not watch over there in China. Zootopia 2 is the kind of thing they would like to, again, I'm going to keep singing this chorus over and over again. They want something that looks like it appeals to a mass market. They want the potential of profit to be on Wall Street investors' minds. I do think that Wall Street has gone a little sour on China from what they were, say, 5-6 years ago. But I think an entire market interested in Zootopia dolls, which they don't have to pay anybody for those designs. So they don't have to worry about likeness rights on Nick Wilde because they fully own that character. So in that way, it's even better than Thor or Iron Man. They don't have to worry about whether or not it looks like Tom Hiddleston. It's just, it's a fox. They can make 1 million of those without having to get the rights to anyone in particular. And guess where they will manufacture them? Probably also in China. So this is something where they've got another carrot to dangle and put that out there and hope that that China will love them. And I don't know what they actually think they're going to get from China, but yeah, because if they run afoul of China, China will just make their own Zootopia, and it will look very similar, and it will probably infringe on the copyright by American standards, but will be just fine to the regime over there.
So, folks, we're not here to rain on the parade of Disney every single day. That's not what we want to do. But in this particular story, we got to say that never have the numbers mattered so little in terms of the big, awesome 6 billion Disney made at the box office. Never have they meant so little. Never has a company made so much, and yet not made quite as much as you would imagine because of the expenses and because of where the money's being made. And, oh, by the way, one more thing about all this, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Disney, here's the problem for you. The high-margin markets, you're flopping. And can you turn it around in 2026 with Mando, with Avengers Doomsday, and with Toy Story 5, I mean? Well, that has yet to be seen. But we'll be paying very close attention to whether or not this is Disney's new renaissance or just a trip to the Beijing kingdom for a few $billion. I know, you want more. You want more of the Pro Channel, folks, but we've got to head out the door for this video. But fret not yet, for more content is yet on the way. 3 times a day, thrice as nice, right here on the Pro Channel. Oh, what's that you say? You want more than that? Fine, we'll do 4. 4 videos. Well, yeah, that's happening. Folks, as you get ready to go, consider clicking the like button for us. It is a huge help. Also, like, share, subscribe, and click it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. We would also love it if you could drop on down and give us a comment. We love hearing from you. And although we can't respond to every single comment, we often are reading them indeed. Folks, we would encourage you to consider subscribing to our partner channels, that Park Place, that Game Place, and that Pod Place. We love them all. We think you might too. Until the next time we have the joy of joining with you, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.